There have been some concerns aired about using generative AI like ChatGPT as a substitute for therapy. And I think some of those are grounded in fact. If you have extreme cases of somebody in a crisis who needs immediate medical or mental health intervention, it's obviously not a good substitute. And there's a large subset of the therapy going population for whom that's not going to be a good substitute. For most folks, I would say there are lots of benefits from using generative AI. You can get reflections, constructive feedback, analysis, affirmation through generative AI when you go to it and explain your situation and ask for feedback. I have used it myself as a neurodivergent therapist, and I think it can be a relatively good substitute for general use if you're needing those things. I know going through life, I often have social interactions that I can't parse. I don't know how to interpret them. I have self-doubt. I reflect about something and want insight or feedback about what I've experienced and want to get insights about that and what I'm doing right or where I can change or improve, because I think that should be the driving factors. You want insight and you want to learn and grow. You, on average, can only get, let's say, 1 to 2 individual sessions of therapy per week. So that's 2 hours, right? And there's a lot that goes on between those sessions where you might want immediate feedback, you might want insight, and you might not want to wait until therapy session, you might forget. Or it might be so detailed and so specific, it might not be worth, in your perception, bringing it up to your therapist. And so generative AI can kind of fill that gap. Obviously, it can't completely substitute for real therapy. There's years of training that goes into that. And sometimes it's book training, and sometimes it's actual interactional training that you get from doing therapy and providing, thousands of hours of therapy face-to-face and interacting with different people from different walks of life, different challenges, and attuning to their needs. And that's where generative AI can't succeed at the moment, and maybe never, is that it cannot replace a human being. It can attune to our needs, but not in the way that a live human being can. And as an attachment theory-oriented practitioner, I believe that it's the relationship that heals. It's the relationship you form with your therapist that is the catalyst for growth and change. You can't build a relationship at the present moment with AI, at least in a convincing human way. And you can't get that level of attunement that you can from a person-to-person interaction, whether it's over Zoom or it's in the office where they make eye contact with you, they read your expressions, you read their expressions, you read body language. There's all those layers of communication that happen when you interact with a human being, which can be quite perplexing and confusing to somebody who's neurodivergent. But also, there is a thing to be said about somebody's tone of voice, hearing somebody talking to you in a calming, reassuring way and showing expressions of concern, right? That's them attuning to you. And that's where we get co-regulation. We regulate each other as human beings. It's a fact. Our nervous systems need each other to regulate each other often. And so having that human face-to-face interaction can go a long way to increase a sense of attunement and also co-regulation, help you feel regulated. Whether AI can do that is up for debate. Maybe that can change in the future. But at the present moment, it cannot do a convincing simulacrum of a human being and engaging in an interaction with somebody outside of text. And who knows? I don't have a crystal ball, so I can't look into the future. Maybe that will change. But at the present moment, it cannot substitute for those things. So you can go seeking that from generative AI, but you can't necessarily get that human component. It's just one of the limitations of working with that. I want to also stress that while there are some downsides, generative AI fills a necessary accessibility gap for people who are neurodivergent. Many of us can't access therapy because we might not have the finances or the healthcare resources. We might not also be able to access therapists who are neuroaffirming and neuroinformed. And generative AI scrapes the internet, for better or worse, to be holistic and comprehensive in its understanding. So if you go to it and appeal to it, asking for neuroinformed, neuroaffirming care, it can provide those things. And if you can't access therapy, conventional therapy, maybe it's the stopgap measure that you access to get the care you need in the moment. I'm all for any kind of accessibility improvements that can increase the quality of life and the care and attend to the needs of people who are neurodivergent, because we are an underserved, marginalized population. So from a social justice perspective, if that's how you access care, if you're getting care and it's adequate, at least for your needs, and you feel affirmed and attuned to by it, then by all means use generative AI. Like, I support you in doing that. I have personally benefited from it. What have been your experiences? Have you used generative AI for therapy-related topics? Have you found it helpful? What are things that you haven't found helpful? One of the things, for example, that I find as a challenge is that there's a strong confirmatory bias with generative AI. It often just confirms your existing perceptions. So you can end up in an echo chamber unless you request that it push back and engage in constructive criticism. So that's one of the downsides. What have been your experiences? What are the strengths? What are the weaknesses? I'd love to hear from you.